More Than Rich podcast. Today, we're joined by a remarkable guest, Ryan Skinner, known as WizKid of Wall Street. From a young age, transformed his sharp financial acumen into overcoming significant personal challenges, including battling addiction. Ryan's rebuilt his life on a foundation of spiritual principles and now dedicated his expertise to helping others achieve financial independence, recover from life's hurdles. And now we're going to dive into a compelling story of resilience and recovery. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
For sure. I want to jump into childhood experiences. What shaped your views on wealth and success?
I hate to say this, but I think I'm not having wealth. You know what I mean? I grew up middle class, probably lower middle class. My mom was a housekeeper by day. She cleaned office at night. My dad always had two jobs. We always had enough, but I remember going to high school and there's a friend of mine. And his dad had got custody of him in a divorce. And this kid had a car when he wanted. He had money to go out, polo shirts with the logo. And I thought, I want to give that to my kid someday. I want to have that. And it turns out the guy was a retired financial advisor. He's doing that because he got custody of his kid. He's a vice principal for 4 years. And he mentored me. And I learned this guy had a presence. He would walk in the room. You wouldn't hear him. You would just feel him. He was 6'4", dressed well. He was a stud. I was an insecure kid. Even when I graduated college, I walked in the room quietly. And he taught me how to have a presence. And actually, there's a young man who works for me, and that's what I'm working on with him. I said, you got to walk in the room. You got to walk in the room not arrogant, but confident with who you are. You got to know who you are. So at a young age, when it came to financial stuff, it was not having what I wanted.
Can you talk about those early memories, maybe like what you remember of maybe struggling?
Yeah, financially, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember as a kid, especially earliest.
My dad left the company he was with because he got a better job. And they gave him a company car. And it was really exciting. And a couple months later, it was 1988, and he lost his job. And I remember being scared. I remember being a kid being scared. My parents could lose their house. What were we going to do? It was just anxiety. My heart's racing. And when you're a 7-year-old kid, that's stuff you shouldn't have to worry about, ideally. And we got through it. My parents are pretty savvy. And my mom, I always say she has her first communion money. She's so cheap. And, but it was scary.
That's a good point. In what ways do you think overcoming addiction improved your relationships?
Oh, man. Thank you. Overcoming addiction improved my relationships. Bottom line is because people have relationships with me. In my 20s, you had a relationship with a guy who you would say, hey, I'd be like, my name's Ryan Skinner. I hand you a business card. Or I'd pretend I was a tough guy when I wasn't. But you never knew Ryan. Now I have true, deep relationships. And sometimes that's great, and sometimes it hurts. You know what I mean? I'm going through divorce. And when you're genuine, sometimes you feel pain, but at least you're you, and that's a gift.
Can you share a pivotal moment from your youth that steered you towards financial success in the industry? Or just from the financial industry, sorry.
Okay, so when I was young, I had a teacher. I can explain that maybe later. But what really changed me to have success was when I got sober. I remember my buddy, I was in jail. I was charged on something pretty serious. I was held on a dangerous hearing, and they had me in with really tough guys, much tougher than me. I was scared. And jail's racially segregated, so it's kind of weird. And there was a kid I grew up with a mixed bag of nuts, different races. There was this big black-headed Sean, and I knew him growing up, great guy. And he said, you look scared. I go, buddy, I'm scared to death. And he goes, listen, I'll protect you. And he said, how you doing with the drugs? I said, well, I'm a heroin addict. I'm dying right now. I want to shoot him, Johnson. And he said, go in my cell, get on your knees and pray to God. Pray to Jesus. And I was like, and I'm not overly religious. I'm going to be honest with you, but I'm very spiritual. And he said, you've never gone on your knees and surrendered. And I went and I did it. I did it for 6 days and I felt nothing. I don't know if it was day 6, 7, or 8, but I'd never want to use heroin again. And when I got out of jail, I learned to apply those same principles. Hey, if I pray to have a business and pray to be of service, not to make money, because money comes if you're doing the right thing, but be of service to other people, help people retire, help people have peace of mind. Get news for you. You see me when I look like today. I have clients come in. I had 3 clients come in. I got a t-shirt, shorts on, and my tattoos hanging out. And each one of them had over $1 million with me. It's how, when you're authentic, I think being able to hit my knees and get authentic and surrender to who I am. And I'm not a tough guy. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I'm me.
Yeah, I would like you to elaborate on, doing work because you want to help other people and how the money comes with that. I think that's not elaborated on enough. How did you find that mindset? How did you cultivate it?
So when I got recovery, my sponsor said, you have to shift your mindset. Everything has to change. And that's about being of service and spirituality. So what I started doing was, I realized prayer works, meditation. Next thing I know, I'm not using drugs. I'm not putting needles in my arms. What if I apply these same spiritual principles to business? if I try to be of service, try to be a blessing to others, try to be kind, like who knows? And I had nothing to lose. I was a homeless heroin addict, right? Just get out of jail. I started applying these principles. Next thing I know, I've got a good client and another client. I never did seminars and workshops before because I speak fast, I mumble, and I don't pronounce my R's. I'm not exactly the best speaker. But I felt compelled to try to do workshops, and I did. And I hit the cover off the ball. Not because people can necessarily, my buddies call it Ryanese, like it's a language of its own. Not even because people necessarily understand everything I say, but they feel who I am. And that's the thing I believe. Like, once you tap into that your nest, like my Ryanness, your Joe-ness, like who you are deep down inside, who that energy, the spirit of the universe, whatever it is, created you to be, and you share that, the right people come to you. Like there are plenty of people who come to a workshop. We have one tonight. Many people will come, learn a little, and leave, and not even want to meet me. I'm not their speed. Some people will come and they'll be like, wow, what a great guy. I can understand him. I relate to him. And some people just come and, not just come for the free meal. But the reality is when I apply these principles, it works.
I'm curious how you feel about like minor addictions in the sense of like we all consume things throughout the day, right? Like anything that's altering your brain chemistry. Like personally, I'm drinking coffee right now. That's a drug. How do you manage that concept of telling people like, it's all right to be addicted to certain things, or there's good habits you can,
I always say this, let's work backwards, right? Let's start with the biggest problem. Like the biggest problem was heroin. For me, it was heroin. All right. Sure. I remember being in a program and a guy at my counsel said, hey, Ryan, if you quit smoking cigarettes, you'll have a 30% better chance of never shooting heroin again. I had 2 cons in my room. I went up, got them both, handed them to him. He said, do you need the patch? You need this, that? And I said, buddy, I overcame heroin. I'm good. If you ever smoked a cigarette again. When I smoke cigars, I smoke them obsessively. So if I smoke a cigar in one day, I'm smoking 5. I still have no off switch. I allow myself one big coffee in the morning. It's like a tumbler. It's a nice coffee, but that's it. I love energy drinks. I love that rush.
Tedious. That's so funny, dude. I'm gonna do that. So I'm like, it's just 1 cup.
Yeah, just one. You just go get the biggest one they have. But I just go. I buy one big iced coffee in the morning, and I say, you know what? That's what I'm allowing myself. Half of it's ice, anyways. They're trying to make money.
I don't mean to turn the convo glib here a second. I just want to reflect on, you said heroin, and that's a huge deal, right? Like that's a sensitive topic. A lot of people might not want to touch on that, so I do appreciate that. I did have a friend in my life that overdosed from it. His name was Alfred. Rest in peace. And
Albert is Alfred.
Alfred. Yeah.
Okay, I'll say a prayer for him tonight.
Appreciate that. And one of the things he told me that he described it is, dude, he was so emotional. He was definitely in recovery. He said, it feels like you're trying to get and chase the most beautiful girl in the world that you'll never have. And then he's like, dude, you want to jump out of your skin. Like you just want to come out of your body because of how it feels like you're crawling. And I was like, dude, I can't relate. I don't know anything that feels like that. And I'm just wondering, can you relate to that? Can you go into detail on maybe what he was experiencing?
Yeah. So, more than I'd like to admit, I'll give you an example. Last week, I was invited to the premiere of Methadone Mile. It's going to be released on Netflix soon. And I'm actually involved in the production of the 2nd episode.
Nice.
And yeah, it's nice, but it shakes me up, man. It fucks me up. Excuse my language. It does.
I feel you.
I can tell you this. I remember being like so twitching and I couldn't get, and it's the chase. It really is. I would shoot up. I would nod out. I would come to. I would shoot up. And it was that, like, because early on when you do it, every time you do it, you get that rush. Everything, I always say, all your problems melt away. The problem is all the good stuff melts away too. That's why you have no problems. You have no job, no house. I remember at one point, like I was twitching so much, I got a bag. I couldn't make it home. I went to a Dunkin' Donuts bathroom. The sink wasn't working. I drew water out of the toilet. Didn't have anything to heat it up. I just used toilet water, heroin, and shot it.
Damn.
I overdosed, and a cop kicked in the door with Narcan. The detective at the time. And now that same guy is the chief of police in Woburn, and he's a client of mine.
Whoa.
I have 15 clients that are cops that have arrested me.
What?
When we change, everything changes, brother.
But what does that mean, though? Like, what is the deeper meaning in that? Like, whether it's human nature, like, clearly people want to help each other. They didn't judge you, I think there's a crazy story in that.
I will tell you this. I always say this. If you were going to be a heroin addict, and if you're a woman, you hit the lottery, they had programs, they had systems, they had a playbook on how to get you out of it. Most places, they just either throw you in jail, throw you in a detox, you spin dry. They had a system. I was in jail. Then I went to a 90-day program, locked in. Then I went to a halfway. They had it so systematized that honestly, I don't want to say it was easy, but it was manageable. And I let them run my life, and they were kind. I mean, I remember Bob Rufo, who's the chief now. walks by my cell after he arrests me. He says, I'm going to give you some roast beef from Bill and Bub's. I said, don't even look at me. I'm a junkie. I'm so ashamed. He said, listen, guy, there was one perfect person. We crucified him. You're all right. And from that point on, that guy and I have been thick as thieves. Now, he arrested me a few other times after that. But then when I got in recovery, we started talking, hanging out. I started speaking at some schools with him. And next thing you know, he's like, I need some help with my retirement money. I said, yeah, I'll refer you to someone. He goes, no, you're my guy. And that's how it goes.
Man, dude, I've personally been wrongly accused and been to jail, and I got made fun of. So I'm like, you made me want me to like elaborate on that compassion that you were showed. Like, that seems very rare. That
all right, I'll give you another side of it, though. Here's the flip side. I used to go to the courthouse a lot. My buddy's the chief of probation. There was a guy named, that was first initial was T. I don't even mind put him on blast, but I'll just say T. Big bald. He's a CO, a court officer. And I used to just talk with him when I was in there seeing my friend. And then when I went in there as a heroin addict and I was going in front of the judge, I was down in the bubble, like in the tank. He goes, man, Ryan, you used to be up here. Now look at you down here. And it hurt. So when I got back and got on my feet and I was driving a Ferrari, I went back and said, hey, Trey, look, I'm up here. I was so mad. I'm usually not an arrogant guy, but I want to stick in this guy's face because he hurt me so bad because I thought we were cool. I thought we were friendly. And to do that to me, I never want to put somebody down.
That's interesting, though, that can motivate you to come back, you know? So
fucking right, buddy.
It's almost a blessing, though, that somebody can feel the need to disrespect you. It's like you're going to wish you did it.
I'll be honest, for me, I didn't feel like it was a blessing. I wanted to take his teeth out.
Oh, my gosh.
I was afraid I was going to catch another case.
And I actually think that has to go with channeling your anger in a positive way, right? Like your frustration, because there's a lot of ways you can take that out, right? Like you can go to the gym. You can create something. Like there's plenty of ways you can get your aggression out. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer that, anger and pain is a great motivator.
Yeah, I am too. How do you incorporate diversity and inclusion with your financial planning services?
I believe there. I always say, what screws me up when it comes to politics is I'm socially liberal, financially conservative, so I'm just all twisted. I take on people. I'm very lucky. People gravitate towards me from all different backgrounds. I grew up in an area where there was people from different ethnicities. I had an uncle that was gay, so I didn't understand like the discrimination thing until I got older. And when I was in college, I played basketball, and it was weird. Like, the white kids on the team said I want to play with black kids, and I quit the team. I was like, I'm not doing this shit. Screw this. I just think that we're all the same. I don't know. If I cut you, you bleed. I cut me, we bleed. Each of us needs all of us.
That's interesting, though. You are right in terms of like we do group up in social dynamics, even though we don't want to admit like there's no bias. We don't do that. We still gravitate toward people that are like us in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you find people like you, and they don't necessarily have the same skin color, the same this and that. There's just their connections. I mean, I got some of my closest clients that are like family to me. I got one guy, this black guy. He's 80 years old. I call him Batman because whenever I'm having a hard day, I'm going through a real messy divorce. Whenever I'm having a hard day, boom, I get a text from him. He's down in Florida in the winter, and he's thinking of me. That's a friendship you just can't buy.
That's a good ass point. Yeah, no, I feel like that about some of my friends, right? Like the ones that you can think of and text in a moment because something reminds you of them. There's not very many is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but, you're lucky if you have 2 or 3.
Yeah. How has therapy contributed to your personal and professional success? I know many people are against it, hard-headed.
You kidding me? I got a team around me. Believe me, I'm a pretty sick guy. So I have a psychiatrist I meet every Tuesday morning on Zoom.
Wow.
I'm on medication because I'm bipolar. And on Thursdays, I just came from my therapist. I have a standing appointment with this guy. And I like him. He's got tattoos like me. He's a boxer. He's a tough guy. And it guides me so that I can live with peace. And I don't naturally live with peace. I'm going through a really messy situation. A terrible custody battle. A lot of my past is being used against me. And but I'm fighting through it. And hopefully in the end, there'll be some peace between me and my ex,
Yeah. No, that's a good way to look at it. You're just making me flash back to a lot of memories. When it comes to like your most common misconceptions about financial success, what do you encounter the most?
Just financial success. I'll give you an example. I always thought that so when I got out of jail, I got nothing. And I used to walk, this guy would give me a free gym membership. So I'd walk to the gym. I'd walk on the tracks. I would sleep in my basement of my townhouse because it was in foreclosure, so I couldn't go inside. So I'd sleep in the basement. I'd break in. And when I walked to the gym, I'd watch this video by Dr. Dre, I Need a Doctor. And he'd be driving his Ferrari. And I'm big on visualization because I started visualizing things in jail. Like my case getting dismissed. Next thing you know, my case got dismissed. I'm out. You know, all these. So next thing I knew, I started praying and visualizing. And not just selfish things, but like, hey, if I get this, I can pay it forward. So I started thinking of that. And then next thing I knew, I thought of building a house. And I couldn't get a mortgage because I had done bankruptcy. But sure enough, somebody came forward and did a private note. And next thing I know, I'm going to pay my house off. I'm going to have this much money saved. I have these cars. And I hit my financial, what I would have thought was financial success. And I tell people this. Financial success isn't financial success. Money makes it easier. I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to lie to you. It makes it very easy. I can go out and pay a lawyer, go see my daughter if she wants to go to Disney. But it's not overall success. Success is having healthy relationships. If you got a spouse, you got somebody nice. If not, that's good. Being a dad, not a father. You know what I mean? Loving your kid, being a snuggle guy, you know? Having success at your job, going, earning a living, more importantly, being of service, being available to people. I consider success when a client calls at 9 o'clock at night, they're worried because they can't understand the statement. I call them and say, hey, let's walk through this because I don't want you to be up all night. So the financial success, the money comes. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I make a tremendous living for a guy with my background. But if that was success, man, I would have, that's an empty hole.
Good answer. That's the theme of the show.
Good. I was like, you want to talk about financial success? I just don't think it matters.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
it matters,
for sure.
but it doesn't.
No, that's good. I need to hear that, especially for the audience. What's your approach to building and maintaining high morale?
High what?
High moral, like with the team.
You treat people like family. You know, I'm going to tell you this. My team doesn't get set vacations. You don't get 2 vacations, 2 weeks a year, 3 weeks a year. You get whatever you want. If you want 5 weeks, take it. If you need a day off, take it. When you treat people like family, they treat you bad. And don't get me wrong, some people take advantage. But overall, I get a team around me that they're special. You know, they really are. So, I go above and beyond. You pay it forward. I give people bonuses that frankly, professionally, in the professional sense, they don't deserve, but in the personal sense, they do. But that's why they treat me like family. When I come in here, going through hell with my divorce, people come into my office crying with me or hugging me. That's not just business. That's family, you know.
Also, you admitted earlier to being bipolar, and that's not a common thing, right? Like, people don't want to admit that. So what was that? What was that like coming to grips with, and like, what are your triggers? How would you know that?
I knew it because I walked in to see a therapist. One of my exes took me to see a therapist. And he said, Ryan, you're not a drug addict. You're bipolar. I said, no, buddy, I'm shooting heroin. Like, I'm a drug addict. There's no mystery. I can show you some track marks. And he said, no, but I think if we can control this, you'll do better with this. And I said, all right, well, I'm willing to try it. It took a while to get the medication right. Actually, I know I was kind of a little more normal. I don't want to say normal, but as normal as I'm going to be. And we track it. You do blood work. You keep an eye on it. It's something you have a choice. Now, don't be wrong. Everybody goes through it. You run out of medicine. You think, I'm okay. I don't need it. Or you feel good and normal. You come off the medicine. But when you mature, eventually you come to terms with, hey, I need this medicine. You know, everybody else got the playbook for life. I'm missing that book. I need this. Or at least I'm missing that chapter. And yeah, a lot of people are embarrassed by it. That's why I talk about it. You know, I talk about, I don't want to sound the wrong way, but you know, I have 3 successful businesses. I got the cars, the house, all the bullshit, the outside stuff. And a lot of times I always say, I'll get people with the material, I'll switch them to the spiritual. Guys that hire me, I'm like, hey, yeah, you can have all of this, but here's what's more important once they become clients. Let's work from the inside. That's where the good stuff is. So I feel like I could be a good example of somebody who has bipolar and has success, you know.
Also, coming back a little bit, when you're talking about, you know, being forced to go and pray on your knees and things, can you talk about a little bit about evoking like the feeling that you felt that you were like, oh, there's something more here. Didn't realize this.
Yeah, you know, when my buddy Sean had me do it the first couple of days, I was scared. I'm on my knees in a jail cell. Like, it doesn't look good. Like, he's at the door blocking people. And I'm like, what are people going to think? You know, I'm thinking, bitch, what's going on here? And then he said, just let go. And then one day I said, you know, God, whatever you are, I can't do this. I can't do this. And if you couldn't take this from me, and I don't know if it was day 6, 7, 8, I will tell you, when I got out, my first week out, I had a buddy come over to see me. And he's in my kitchen. I come out of my bathroom, and he's shooting heroin and a needle. And it didn't trigger me, man. And that same power, I can use in other things. For example, before a client comes in, I hit my knees and I pray on each client. God, please allow me to be a services client while growing our practice. Help me put their needs before mine. Because it's easy to be a selfish prick. You know what I mean? In a business, you can always chase money. But what about chasing people, like helping them? Like, what about doing what's best? And then I finally did it with my divorce. I finally tried to make this happen. I'm going to do this. I try to make things happen my way. And when I finally can't do it, then I release it to God. Why I don't do that sooner, I have no answers for you. But about 3 weeks ago, I said, God, I surrender. You take care of this. I can't do it. And then the answers came.
It's interesting because I also feel like, angry people might get a bad rep for being mad when they're just like passionate or want things to get done. But in reality, they are good people too. It's just a bad misconception that people might get.
Yeah, I mean, I won't lie to you. I'm pretty fiery at times. I'm a business guy. I want to be successful. You don't have. I want to be professionally successful as part of being successful. You don't have that if you're not dialed in. If you're not busting your balls, you have to be intense. You got to be all in. If people aren't all in, if they're all in, hey, we're together. And mistakes happen. A kid that works for me made a $20,000 mistake the other day. You know what? He gave it his all. He made a mistake, but that doesn't matter. Now, if he did it because he was flaking or just didn't give it to him, then we got a problem.
Yeah, I feel that. How do you foster a culture of mental health awareness in your workspace, since we're on that topic?
I don't really know how to do that professionally. I'm going to give you what I do. I take time to talk to each person. And it's hot. My calendar's so jammed, but I try to ask them about their personal life. What's going on at home? Like, girl that works here bought her first house with her boyfriend. So I gave them some money to buy whatever they wanted. I was going to buy them a TV, but I didn't know what TV they wanted. And the young man who's working for me, I'm helping save for it. His mom's a housekeeper. He's from Brazil. So his dad left. So I want him to buy a house. So I said, I'm going to match you each time we get a bonus each quarter. If you put in a savings, I'm going to match you. So we buy you a house in a year. You really, if you truly can show people love and you go all in with them, the way you'd want somebody to go all in with you or your child, that comes back to you. But if you're not going to treat people the way you want your child treated, you're not going to get, you get what you give.
I feel that one for sure. What role does empathy play in your coaching and mentoring?
Coaching and mentoring, I have two sides to empathy. One, I've been in pain. I know it hurts. And let's talk about it. Let's get it all out. I want you to unload. As my buddy says to me, I want you to unload on me so you don't unload on her. Once you unload, now I'm going to spin that shit. Now it's time to dial in. If you want to make money, you want to get in shape. You want to be the guy. If you lose a girl, you want to be the guy she's dreaming of. So when you pick up your kid and drop off, she's like, oh, my God. When you drive up in a nice car, you're clean cut, you look good, you're healthy, you're smiling, you're kind. That's the kind of man you want to be. So how do we spin that pain? Yeah, it's going to hurt. You don't think I'm hurting? I'm sleeping like 3-4 hours a night. I'm like down 10 pounds. I'm like my knots in my stomach. But that's the good stuff because that's what makes you grow. When I go to the gym, if I keep pushing lightweight, I don't grow. I got to put some strain on. That's how life is. I don't believe God wants you to go through pain and divorce, but I believe the spirit of the universe, whatever you want to call God, it's there when you need it and you're going through it and you grow through it.
What about the idea of like stirring the pot? Because I feel like that's the importance of working out, right? Like it'll put some energy out in the universe. I'm a strong believer in that. Like you're attracting what you need as you're working out, right? Like you're pushing this energy outward. Just curious your thoughts on that.
I'm a big believer. When people talk about taking days off to rest, I don't want to hear that shit. I work out 7 days a week. 7 days a week.
I feel like that about working in general, not just working out,
Yeah, I'm the same way. There's never a day I don't come in this office for at least a few minutes. Sundays, I'll pop in and have a coffee sometimes. I just want to be here. I love it. It's my baby. And now coaching, I freaking love it. I'm helping guys grow their business. Listen, there's only so much you can make and it's gonna fill the pot. Then it's like, hey, how can I help somebody else? How can I get a $100,000 producer in finance to make $500,000? It's very easy. You just got to systematize them, get them a routine. They think it's all about phone calls, touching people. No, I want to talk about what time do you get up? Do you pray? Do you meditate? Do you journal? Do you work out in the morning on an empty stomach? Do you get a coffee and skip breakfast? And if you do these things, these simple steps, it's not easy, but they're simple, then you're going to have success. And whatever your goal is, you write down your goals. No matter what you write down, you got to hit it. I remember once I was told to write my goal down, and I was making the business did $398 that year. Now, that's not all mine. It's the business. I wrote 1.2 on the check, 1.2 million. Next year, the business did somewhere in the 8s. Now, again, it's not nearly all profit, but the following year, I moved into a house I built, and I had this old crumpled check, and I opened it up, and it was 1.2. That year, we did 1.4. You might not hit that year, but whatever you put down on paper will come to you if you read. I read my goals every single day, and every goal I write down each year, I hit.
That's interesting. Wow. Do you often I don't want to say often, but have you looked at a lot of business plans in your life? Do you know how they look and things, like what they're supposed to look like? Do you have advice for that?
I've got a consulting team that handles that stuff, and I'm not going to lie to you. I go a little bit with that. I have marketing folks they're on my team to kind of give a little buffer. It's kind of like when you go bowling, the little bumpers on the side for kids. I
That's a
bring
good
God.
analogy. I like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
but I'm gonna be honest with you, man, and I don't mean to sound overly religious again, but I bring God into it. That's where I get my inspiration. That's how I tap into it. I'll be sitting at my desk and be like, "Oh, call so and so." I mean, literally, I made 3 calls this week. They'll line up an outrageous amount of business because it just popped in my head. And it was. I really believe when I spend time with the divine God, when I take time to just breathe, close my eyes, and let things unfold, then it comes to me. You don't have to be a marketing genius. You don't have to be well spoken. You don't have to be sharp. I mean, look at me. This is me. Like a guy who likes to go to the gym, who's sometimes looks like a cheese doodle, doesn't pronounce his R's. And I do it. It's there for anybody. They just need steps. Like when people hire me to coach them, I say, listen, if you don't want to pay me, here's what we'll do. Whatever you grow, I get 20% of the gain. So if you make 100 grand a year and we get you to 3, I get 20% of the extra 2. Because I know we can grow. I know how systems work.
Damn. Now that's a really good way to look at it. And the one thing that we hear the most, because I'm involved in the creative industry, right? So people are always saying, go find an investor. Don't be going to the bank for things. So I'm constantly making business plans and proposals for creatives. So that's just one way I'm trying to relate and understand like how you function. But that's interesting. Like a lot of business people are literally reading it themselves, making the decision there, and then being done with it. But I think it's important to have people to, coach you.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do my own studying and growing. I read a lot. I'm starting grad school at Sloan School, which is MIT's grad school.
Nice.
I'm really good with numbers, but I will tell you, like, most of what I do, my success is really just taking time to meditate and let it unfold. Because if you sit back, I'll give you an example. I don't know your business, but if you sit back and meditate and just breathe and feel your body, feel your ass in the seats, next thing you know, you think, that person would be a great investor. You call them up. Yeah, I'll shoot some ideas over some bullet points, and they invest. I mean, the guy who put out Methadone Mile, when he wanted to call it the second episode, I said, yeah, I'd like to be a part of it. He just happened to be looking for an investor. I plugged in 20 grand and boom, I was in.
That's crazy.
And that was it. It unfolded. It just unfolded like that.
That's interesting. Talk about the numbers aspect though, because how did you even find out you're good at that? Like, I mean, anybody can get good grades, but to really stand out.
I didn't get good grades. So 5th grade, my teacher tells my mother, your son will never be able to graduate high school, so don't bother pushing him. He'll never be able to go to college. My mother said, he's going to go to college. He'll be successful. She put me in a Catholic school. My cousins go. Now, I didn't do well in public school. In this Catholic school, they're way advanced. It took me hours of homework. 6th grade sucks. 7th grade, my teacher noticed something. I had low self-esteem. I mean, what kid? When I was in public school, I used to get made fun of because I couldn't read. So I felt terrible about myself. But this teacher noticed something. I was gifted with numbers. I'm a freak. So she said, you know what? I don't get Social Security because I'm a Catholic school teacher. I'm reading all these books. One book says if you can draw it with a crayon, you can buy it. Any kid can draw with a crayon. So she said, Ryan, I want you to invest in things you understand. I'm going to give you 50 grand of fake money. So I bought Chrysler. Not because they made cars, but in the 80s and 90s, they actually made parts for repairs for Ford and GM. I bought Nike, Coca-Cola, Gatorade, anything Michael Jordan went near as a kid. I beat the S&P by 5.6. She writes a letter to the author of the book. He happened to turn the same age his dad was when his dad had a heart attack and died. He doesn't want to run the Magellan Fund anymore. He retires. It's Peter Lynch. He comes and meets with me and asks if I'll be in books with him. Next thing I know, I'm on the cover of Women's World magazine and on Maury Povich and some other crap. As
Wow.
WizKid, next thing I know in 6th, 7th grade now, I'm going to be a financial advisor. I don't know. I can't read to save my life. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm going to be successful. High school, golf with people in your bad. High school, my freshman year, I'm 3rd year of school. I'm in the senior hallway. Some guy goes, you, dog, you're that whiz kid, my office now. And I go, listen, I don't want to be a geek here. I want to be the geek, dumb kid to the geek. I just want to fit in. He says, listen, kid, I grew up 5 kids sharing a bed. 5 kids sharing a bed. He said, I became a backup quarterback of the New York Jets, but my feet were too slow, so I kept getting hit. He said, and I went as a financial advisor. I retired. Now I'm here to keep an eye on my kid. That's the guy I told you about with the presents. Mm-hmm. He taught me how to do this business, how to have a – he just called me today, and he sends me a text. I love you. I love this guy probably as much as my parents. His name's Paul Arnold. He's had such a profound impact on me.
Continue on that a little bit.
I'm just blessed. I'm going to tell you, the numbers, once that teacher caught it, then Paul cultivated. He said, we're going to meet Fridays before school. So now I meet Fridays before school with this guy. And he grew it. At 18 years old, I'm trading. I mean, all my friends are going off to college and living there. Don't get me wrong. I went to college. I worked 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Got a full scholarship to college because they wanted to promote their finance department. So they wanted to use my story. So I said, yeah, if you give me a free scholarship. I went to bars. I did it all. I mean, I lived a fast life. I mean, at one point I was doing other stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. And next thing I knew, Going into my senior year, I said to my dad at the end of senior year, my dad threw me out because he caught me doing some bad stuff. He said, we don't own an air conditioner. We don't have a new car ever, but we have integrity. Get the hell out of my house. And he put it that nice. So I grabbed my stuff. I left. I said, I'll be back tomorrow for the rest of my stuff. He said, don't come back. This is my house. That's my stuff now. The day before I graduated college, I said, Dad, I was living in some girl's apartment with her. I was, doing like crazy jobs, like legal but dirty jobs. And I said, Dad, I want to move back home. And he said, you want to move home? That BMW you bought the wrong way. Your mother drives it. You drive a Volkswagen that has a bungee cord holding the hood down, no bumper. 10 p.m. curfew 7 days a week and no alcohol. And you know what? I moved home. Back then, I didn't do drugs at all, but I would drink it. If I drank on a Thursday, I didn't know when I'd stop. So I always had drinking issues. I just didn't know it. So I took a year, didn't drink, had success, and then I bought a house, and then it lived with me. That's not good.
Man, I'm trying to relate to this one a little bit. So I have some family members. I have a cousin, and his own parents are kind of like they were, it's not that they were raised with money, but when they came into it, they kind of just forgot everything, that all their values. And I'm just curious if you've ever like had to deal with something like that, where I don't want to say like people change, but in this scenario, he made money, went back to them, tried to help him out, whether it's other siblings and things, but people feel entitled. Like, what about all that other stuff we did for you? Have you ever had that come up?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I might give you an example. So in my 20s, I would buy friends before I got sober. I wanted to hang out with tough guys. I'd take mobsters out to dinner. I want to hang out with these guys. I'd take them out. I would just buy people. I'd take people to Miami. Like, it was nuts. When I got sober, I said, whoa. A girl I was engaged to in my 20s who broke my heart came back around 10 years later. Against my better judgment, I let her back in, gave her another chance. I got a prenup. We got married. Now we're going through a terrible divorce. And when I met her, she had a little condo, nice little 2-bedroom condo. It was in a basement of a building and a Toyota Prius, I think it was. And now even with the prenup, she's asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars, crazy amount of child support. The amount of entitlement, so there is entitlement and you come across it. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that do it have your last name. My parents are the opposite. But if I have a sibling and if I cut her a check for $100,000 tomorrow, she'd take it. And my ex, if I cut her a check for $300,000 unearned, she'd take it. It's amazing to me how people don't want to work for things, and they don't want your time or your love, or anything other. They just want a check from you. And I'm not a paycheck. As I've said, I'm not an ATM anymore.
It's a good answer. Yeah, you're having me go through a lot of different thoughts right there. What's your take on the stigma surrounding financial success or even moral responsibility?
I have two thoughts. Stigma, a lot of people do change. I was at the last game of the Celtics when they won the championship the other night.
Hey.
And a lot of people there that are like showing off, and they're like, some big swinging dick. I try to go there, I'm this is me. I go in t-shirt and jeans. I don't need people to know what I have or what I drive. You know what I mean? If I'm going somewhere like that in town, I try to drive like one of my other cars so it's a little less understated. Or if I'm going on a date, something like that. I think there's a stigma. Not everybody's an asshole. I always say money can make you. Money doesn't make you. Yeah, money makes you. If you're an asshole, you're a bigger asshole. If you're cheap, you're cheaper. If you're rude, you're ruder. If you're arrogant, you're more arrogant. But if you're kind, you're more kind. If you're thoughtful, if you're generous, you can do. For me, money allowed me to do the goals I had, to be who I want to be. For example, like doing the coaching. I got guys that can't afford to pay me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll coach you. And they're like, what? And I'm like, listen, I'll coach you. God's been good to me. I can do that because I have enough money coming in that I know can take that time. If I wasn't blessed with money, like I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd be like, sorry, man, I can't help you. I'd love to. Guys that are trying to get sober and clean, like I'd be like, I got to go to work. God gives me enough that I can be a blessing to other people. Now, when I stopped being a blessing, and during my marriage, when things kind of were edgy, I stopped. I became selfish and self-seeking. And you know what happened? The pain came back. I stopped going to recovery meetings. I stopped being a blessing to other people. And something that happened? I suffered. On the outside, it all got better. On the inside, I was dying.
That's interesting too, because I mean, when you work and do things for others, you're also not thinking about yourself. You literally have your mind taken off that, aka not suffering. So yeah, coming back to that service to self, full circle. How does societal expectations affect individuals' views on money and success? Society has a big impact. Media, I'm sure, right?
I tell people, if you're looking at social media and you're trying to figure out success, then you're a jerk off. Anybody who's taking time to post what they're doing, things aren't that good. When things are going good, I'm having a great time with my friends or my loved ones. I might get a picture here and there if we're out somewhere, like one picture, like me and my daughter.
Yeah.
But I'm fucking present. You don't see my phone come on when I'm with my kid, you know, unless I'm taking it out of my pocket because we're going to the swings. You know, that's how it goes. If I'm with good friends out to a bite to eat, or if I'm on a date with somebody, you know, person I care about, I'm not pulling my phone out. That's disrespectful. I'm here with you. I don't need to know what else is going on. So I tell folks, if you're trying to keep up with what you see on social media, it's all it is to sell you. It's controlled to sell you. It's dialed in to make you want to buy certain things, which will drive the market for certain people. If you don't want to put money in people's pocket, have some pride. You don't have to have the latest, greatest. You know, I've been with somebody in the past who have this shoes, these, this, and that, all brand name stuff. Go for it. You know what it is? It's an empty. It's like chasing a ghost.
How do you handle disagreements and conflicts in a professional setting?
Not well. Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't even know how much I want to say on the air. I'll leave it at this. There's two sides of me. One, I don't like conflict. And two, I come off like a psychopath. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's still that part of me. It's like, hey, you know what
you're like, you know yourself though.
Yeah, you know, and I don't mean to. And if it's a female, I'm able to soften it. But there's times with guys I've had them cry in front of me because I've gotten so angry, and I make it right and stuff. And I don't want to hurt people, but I will tell you this: my answer is, if it's an intentional disrespect, then you're gonna know it. I always say I don't want to go back to jail, but I will. Mainly just for my daughter, you know. But I do take it this way: if people disrespect my business, they disrespect my daughter's future. She has autism. My job is to provide for that kid. And if they take this lightly or disrespectful, then that's like taking food out of her mouth.
We didn't really touched on high school, but when did you get like your first taste of making money, and then maybe you can go into gambling a little bit?
Okay, so I got my first taste of making money. My dad got me a job at a restaurant. I was in sixth grade. He said, "You're gonna walk to this restaurant. You're gonna tell me you're 14. I know the owner. You're gonna scrub dishes and do food. Bring me the money back." So it was $75 a day. In high school, I worked. I always had jobs. But in college, I got connected with a group of friends that I idolized because they were tough guys. You know, I wasn't a tough guy. These guys, they had the fast cars, fast girls, and I would do things for them, you know, and they would do shady stuff. I would do minor things for them, and I made some money. And when the state police and feds took them down, they were all looking at 20 years. I was like, I don't want to be a tough guy anymore. So I was doing regular work. My first taste of real money. Now, I was never a gambler. I'm going to be honest with you. I gambled once in Vegas, lost my shirt. I was all banged up. Never gambled again. People always say, "Why don't you go to the casino? There's a new casino down here." And I'm like, "No, I'm good, you know." But, you know, my first taste of money was really, I would say, right after college when I started making real money. You know, I was probably like 21, 22 when I started making like, you know, a quarter or more.
Nice. That's pretty young, by the way.
Well, back then it was really young because that was big money back then. That was like $1.5 million right now.
No, that's a huge deal. It's pretty unheard of. What's a common piece of advice you find yourself giving to young entrepreneurs?
Nobody wants to hear this, but the stillness. And the stillness is where you find yourself. You know, you got to take time each day to just sit still and let things come to you.
Dude,
nobody wants to do it.
It's so ironic because you seem like, you know, your personality is like super hot tempered, and for you,
I'm off the wall. But you see me in the morning, I'm like fucking Gandhi. I'm telling you, I get out of bed in the morning, I hit my knees, I pray, I journal, I go into I built a prayer room when I built my house off prayer room off my bedroom.
Nice.
I sit there, I meditate, and then take an ice cold shower. There's two versions. There's me because I'm excited because I like this sort of topic and I like helping people. I love when a guy calls me up and says, "I don't know how to grow my business," or "Why my relationships are in shambles. How do I get through this?" How many through this divorce? I feel like I'm fat, I'm out of shape. And I'm like, yeah, there's a way out, you know? So that's where I get a rush because my whole life, it was about me. And I've already taken care of me and my family. It's like, how do I be a blessing to other people? That's the whole reason I got into coaching, to be honest with you. And I slow it down a lot. You'd be surprised. I meditate 2 to 3 times a day. It's always morning and night. And I'll tell you, I go to bed, like when I go to bed at 10 o'clock, I'll do my prayers and I lay down, my eyes go out. I have a lot of peace because I leave it all on the table, you know, I go all in.
You know, it's funny. I used to meditate so often that I would fall asleep and then I would do research on it. And I'm like, oh, it's my ego. My ego is letting me fall asleep.
I love it. But you know what, man? It's all right. That's peace.
I know, but it's funny. What philosophical or ethical principles guide your financial advising? Like one of the ones I hear often, or one of my last interviews was he really cares about the person he's investing in, right? Like most businessmen in America are shrewd and they're like, let me see your losses and your, give me your sheets, give me the numbers. So that's where I'm going.
When I meet people, last thing we talk about is numbers. I don't care about your numbers. I care about who you are. What do you want to do? Do you have? I got my clients came in this morning, Danny and Lisa. They just had a grandchild, and when they had the grandchild, they overnight. When they had the first grandchild, they overnight a onesie that says "My inheritance is protected by Apex." And they came in today, and we sat down. I said, "So what are we gonna do?" And she's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Listen, you just had your first grandchild. You got enough money. Let's figure out what are we gonna do." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You should retire, spend the summer on the Cape, bring the grandkids down, come back, spend the winter babysitting." And she's like, "I'll give my notice today, 2 weeks notice." She said, "No, she's been doing it 40 years. Her and twin sister works here." She goes, "I'll give my notice today." That's bigger than me. That's the good stuff. You know what I mean? I am when you do retirement planning, you're not just managing money. I don't care about people's returns. I don't care about this, that. Yeah, we're gonna make sure they do all right. I want to be part of your vacations. I want the pictures when you're in Italy. Like a couple of Steve and Carol just sent us pictures from Italy. Another client sent me pictures from France where she went where the town was burnt down by Hitler's people. I want to see that stuff. The money's a byproduct.
That's cool though, because I feel like people don't want to live vicariously unless you've already done it, right? So I think
I guess. And I haven't done half that stuff, but you know what it is? It makes me realize I'm part of the stream of life. That it's bigger than me. It's flowing down. It's not about me making money, this and that. Our fees are extremely low. For example, most advisory firms charge 1%. Our clients typically pay when they put all their assets in the place. Our clients probably pay a little under 0.5%. I always say this, you know what? Like I don't need to make 5-10 million a year. I don't. I like with the same clothes. I wear a baseball cap if I'm not, my hair's not done. I got a couple of cars, I don't have a mortgage. My daughter's okay. Like, what do I need? I'd rather, we do a lot with charities. I'm a big believer in tithing. Again, I'm not overly religious, but when I heard the idea of giving away 10% of your money, I was like, I could try that. I'm a big believer. We're very involved in Make-A-Wish, which means a lot to me, especially now that I have a daughter, and we've always done a lot with charities for autism, which is kind of funny because then I had a daughter with autism, and God works in funny ways. So I think that's the good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that because I was getting contacted from third world countries about helping them, and dude, like some places are so impoverished that you don't even realize the sanitary issues or hygiene issues. Like kids don't go to school because they don't have basic necessities. So it just blows my mind that we're so blessed here, right, to not even take advantage of those little things or not realize education's free. Do something with it, right?
It's disgusting. I'm gonna give you an example. Here's my financial cap. You ready? Like, this is where shit gets real. I ran the numbers, okay? If you take this country and you do it this way, everybody has the same tax rate, 15%. But the Elon Musk pays taxes, for example. But the Zuckerbergs, the Bezos, they cannot carry stock options. They have to take all their profit and pay 15%. And then you go so far as to say anybody who makes less than 50 grand, they don't pay any taxes. Let's just motivate them to work, because that way they're not sitting on the system because they can work and they have pride and they want to work. Nobody wants to sit home. Yep. And that way they're not getting gouged if they go to work. We'd be out of debt in 3 years. That $35 trillion will be gone 3 years. 3 effing years. But you know what happens? They vote in these people and they get lifetime in Congress and Senate. And you know what happens? They slip the money. So, yeah, the stock options. I mean, now I own a company. I can do all that stuff. I get all those benefits. I get 20% of my bonuses free. It's sick. And you know what? They don't change it.
That is interesting. I mean, I'm glad that you're on the inside that can kind of have the insight to know how it works. And
it can help clients out, but
I mean, it's no different than the way people really hate on Donald Trump, but it's like both sides are taking advantage of the breaks. You know what I mean? It's not just one person.
With Donald Trump thing, you know what I did? Like, you ever see Dave Chappelle?
Yeah.
I like that Dave Chappelle did that thing. He's like, man, Donald Trump, he's like, that guy, and he called him the N-word, and he goes, I love him. He's like, Clinton was talking about how he took all these taxes, doesn't pay his taxes, blah, blah, and he looked there and said, yeah, because that's the law that you guys put in place, and you're not going to get rid of it because all your constituents pay you for that.
Yep.
And that's the truth of it all.
He's just using it.
Yeah, he's using it. Like, I'm not a Trump fan. I think he's kind of a clown. But then again, I think Biden's a moron, so I don't like either of them. I'm going to be honest. Yeah. I would rather vote in like I don't know, me. But the point being is, I think they take advantage of a system that's been in place. This is built for the rich. Like the Vanderbilts, you know what they do for their money?
Mm-hmm.
They all buy these life insurance trusts, right? They buy life insurance. and they overfund it with cash, and they borrow against it, tax-free. When they die, it all goes into the family pool. Then the next generation buys more life insurance. They all borrow, and they go to and that's how you create a family bank. They have their own bank with no interest. It's silly.
Yeah.
Who would have thought of that? So now when I learned that, I'm taking all these notes, and I'm like, all right, but I need somebody else to do it. It takes 3 people, and I'm alone.
And here's another thing is, as we're young, I'm sure you can relate to this, we're extremely liberal with our views. And then as I get older, I start to change my political perception to where I want to be, not where I am now, right? So I may not have everything, but I should plan my views on what if I did have all of this and where I see myself projected in the future. So yeah, it's a very interesting debate on how people can just be making irrational decisions on where they are now, stuck. Like, I have nothing, we need more of whatever, insert the blank, take it away from insert the blank.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you this. There's a saying, right? And I'm not saying I believe this, but it's kind of funny. If you're under 30 and you're not a Democrat, you have no heart. If you're over 30 and you are a Democrat, you have no brain. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, so please don't. But I will say this.
Yeah, it shows if you're growing, though, is what you're getting at, right?
Yeah, well, and I also think that, like, I am socially liberal. Like, hey, somebody's gay, lesbian, it's none of my business. I have friends that are. That's no big deal. The abortion thing, I don't touch out with a 10-foot pole. It's not my thing. But I will tell you this, like, financially, if we don't get more conservative, this country is simply put up with one word, fucked. We are screwed. 94% of our taxes goes to Medicare and Social Security. That's only going to grow because people live longer. In addition, we have to pay the interest on that debt. And if it gets to $53 trillion, we don't make enough taxes to even pay the interest on it. So what happens? They can't keep doing this. And, frankly, yeah, I mean, I don't want to keep giving all my money to the government, but the taxes, this is the second lowest they've ever been. I mean, in the 40s, the top rate was 94%. In the 60s, it was 91%. In the 70s, it was 70%. So with that money going out the window, you keep like 5 cents on the dollar. This is insanity. I think the government's over controlling things.
Yeah, I don't even have an answer to that. I was like, where do I follow up with this? Is there a solution? But yeah, conservative is the best way to put it. Just we need to come back to some traditions, right? Like, something needs to,
at least financially. I mean, or we're gonna be screwed.
True. What advice do you give to someone struggling with moral implications of wealth? Do you find people like, I don't know if I should do this? Like, or is it a real moral battle?
When they have money, you mean, feel like doing certain things?
Yeah.
I tell people this, you got to sleep. At the end of the day, it's not between these people. It's between this. It's up and down. It's between you and God, or your God and your understanding or misunderstanding. I try to make decisions that I would be proud of if my daughter found out about it. That's the best way I can describe it.
Reflecting on your journey from top financial success to struggling with addiction, what were the key lessons that you learned about resilience?
I learned some good lessons. I'm going to tell you the truth. One, don't use money to get people in your life, because those same people won't stay in your life.
Wow.
2, value the good people you have in your life. 3, don't be a fucking empty suit. I was an empty suit. If I said to you 100% what that meant was I was not going to do it, I just lied to your face. I had no integrity, no values. I was just today, I'm not, listen, I'm far from perfect, but if I shake your hand and say I'll do something, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do whatever I can to help somebody. I try to be kind and not hurt people. I try to keep my hands off people. Every so often I have a spiritual relapse with hitting somebody, but.
Can you discuss the role of fatherhood in your life of recovery and how it influences your mentorship style?
Yeah, fatherhood, man, dude, I have a lot of gifts in terms of material crap. The greatest gift I've ever been given was being a dad. So right now I'm fighting for custody because of my past, my history, and my ex is really using that against me. I'll tell you right now, it'll be a knife fight before I let my kid go. You know what I mean? She is the greatest. She's taught me She's taught me so many lessons. Like, this little girl has autism. And before she went to preschool, she had to do 40 hours a week of therapy. Speech therapy, OT therapy, food therapy. And she did it with a smile. She never did anything but smile. Yeah, she'd have a few breakdowns here and there. Now I put her in the special school, and people think I'm crazy. It's $60,000 a year. It's a crazy school. But she goes every day and she smiles. And she's not only is she verbal now, but she doesn't shut up. It's perfect. She's amazing. She hugs awesome. She plays awesome. She's social. Seeing this girl grow, it teaches me, one, that's all that matters. So it's the little stuff. It's not, she doesn't care that I make good money. She doesn't know. She likes going to my convertible. She'd be just as happy as if it was a Honda convertible that was falling apart with the roof up. She wouldn't even know. She just likes to be with her dad. And I've never had something like pure love like that. Like, I've never loved anything that pure, to be very honest with you. I just, it's incredible. So what it does when I teach other people is this, like the young man who works for me, I try to mentor him. His dad left and went back to Brazil when he was a kid because the father didn't want to pay child support. I try to be like almost like a father role to him, and to love him when he can't love himself, to make him feel stronger, to help him build self-esteem, help him build a presence. Like I'm helping him buy a house. I took him to the Celtics final game because I knew he was a huge Celtics fan. Try to do things for him. It was his birthday. Try to be kind and loving to his kid in a way that a father should. And a lot of guys I coach, you know what? The guy who mentored me and got me sober, he treated me like I was almost like his kid, his little brother. I think when you treat people that way, it goes a long way. Yeah, I'm a coach and they pay me. And one guy, I got a guy paid me $20,000 a month, but his business is growing ethically. But I still talk to him. He's 10 years older than me. But I still talk to him like, hey, like we're brothers. Like, hey, let's do this. Why don't you take that approach? By doing that, it builds self-esteem for him. Lets him know that I respect him. I give a suggestion about backing out command. It lets him know I genuinely care.
That's interesting. I'm trying to relate to that. And the best example I have is the nonprofit that I run because, the volunteers or the students, you develop friendships, relationships, playing sports with them and stuff over time. But yeah, like the youth aspect of relating to them, you're like, dude, we're not that different. Like someone might be half your age, but you actually have like a lot in common, dude. Just a little bit of camaraderie and playing some sports and stuff. But
you know what's funny? I look in the mirror and I still think I'm the same 20-year-old kid. The only difference is my knees hurt a little. That's it. I'm not more mature. I'm like a kid with a big allowance.
A little bit back pain.
Yeah, I get some aches and pains. But I mean, I'm still like, I still feel the same about certain things. I laugh at the same stupid ass jokes. It's just me.
I feel that. Relatable. What strategies do you find most effective in preserving clients' nest eggs, creating reliable retirement income?
So I use tools. One tool is index annuity, fixed index annuity. Years ago, it got trashed because you couldn't make much money. There were low caps. Now a client can make 10% a year on the high end, average about 6 to 7. The nice thing is, maybe even 5 on the bad end. You put an income rider on, which turns on like a pension. So rather than use a pension at like a work job like Mass General, Brigham, Leahy, they take it over there, they turn it on, but they still own the money rather than a Brigham pension give out the money. It's had a profound impact on my clients. We do life insurance retirement plans where we build tax-free, like I told you, the Vanderbilts. We do that on a small level. I own a wealth management firm where they do some other stuff, invested there. I kind of just do a little of everything. We try to do well-rounded planning. And most of all, the truth is the reason we have success, we meet clients 4 times a year. If you see clients quarterly, you're going to know what's going on in their life, and you can be proactive rather than reactive.
That's a good point. I think that one's important. I don't even think my own family meets that often, but when it comes to NVIDIA, do you have any thoughts on that? Being like, is that like a bubble, most overpriced stock in the world? Give me some predictions. What do you think?
Yeah, it did recently split.
I have no idea, actually.
I believe it recently split. I'm going to tell you, I don't know enough about it. I know AI is big.
Just the fact that it's trillions, just the fact that it's trillions of dollars.
Yeah, I'm just not sure I would pay thousands of dollars for a single stock.
No matter what it's worth, or no matter how far you see it growing in the future.
Well, here's the thing. I wait for it to split again. There's no way it's going to get to like 10 grand, right? They don't have stock prices that much, so they'd have to split. On a split, I'd buy anything.
Interesting. Good to know.
And now that's personal info. That's not, so I don't handle that side of this business, so that's not professional. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Just an opinion there.
Yeah.
As a retirement specialist, what are the common fears clients have about their financial future? How do you address them?
Running out of money, inflation. Their biggest fear should be taxes, but it's not. Yeah. I tell people this, like when we build a plan, we're going to build inflation adjusted every year and this and that. The problem we run into is this. You have a partner in your retirement that you didn't know about. It's Uncle Sam. You might say, well, I put money in a 401k, I was making 100 grand. I put 10 grand now, making 90. And that 10,000 grows tax deferred, but I'm going to take you on retirement in a lower bracket. No, you're not. The brackets are only going to go up. We're in a bad situation. When the bracket goes up, you might be paying 40, 50% on taxes in retirement versus what you could have paid earlier. We do Roth conversions. We do LERPs. We try to keep it so that a client's IRA, their RMDs that come out at 73, are equal to or less than the standard deduction. So if you're supposed to take $29,000 or less, then good, take 28 out of your IRA. So now that's tax-free. We got a Roth. We got Social Security. We're not getting hit. So now we're going to pull 6 figures a year without taxes.
Do you think the problem is also not everybody wants to have a business or run a nonprofit, so that also complicates taxes, like you're just a normal citizen kind of issue? Do you run into that often?
So that's what I'm talking about right there. That's the taxes, like for normal
Yeah.
citizens. I can do
Yeah.
planning for that. That's pretty easy. If you're willing to run a business, I have some clients that are willing to start LLCs. That's a cash cow. I mean, if you know how to use your LLC and nonprofit right, you're going to make a bunch of money. You're not going to have any taxes. It's a license to spend.
For sure. I just think it's still hard to get, approved for a lot of things in general. Like I see that commonly with a lot of people. So that's where I'm
Approved
going
for
with that
what?
question.
Fill me in. You're lost.
Like when it comes with banking, loans, approvals for anything
Okay.
like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
so here's the thing. My clients at that age, I'm taking their 401ks and IRAs and protecting them and whatnot. They've already built it. They're not taking out
yeah, yeah.
loans. And most of the guys I know, to be honest with you, when we're setting up businesses, we're not. I got a group of guys and we buy some businesses and whatnot and real estate. Most of us are in a pretty good spot. So we're not going to take out loans unless we buy like a huge building. Like we might take, if it's a $3 million building, we might all throw a couple $100,000 in and take a loan. But there's so many of us, and some of them are older. I had the credit score of a ferret. When I went to buy my last car, the guy's like, it's not
What
that you
is
have
that?
bad credit. You just have no credit. I'm like, what do you mean I have no credit?
A
He's like,
fair.
well, I paid my house off in 4 years. He goes, yeah, you have no revolving credit. He goes, do you have a cell phone? I'm like, yeah, the business pays for it. Do you have a credit card? Yeah, the business. I spend 300 and change and 400 on my Amex every year. He's like, but the business, he's like, you don't have credit. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, I'm there too. I'm literally same. But I mean, everybody tells you the same thing, right? It's the same process to rebuild it. So,
Yeah.
can you discuss a challenge you've faced in your career that taught you a valuable lesson about human nature?
Here it goes. You want the best challenge? Here it goes.
Hit me
This is
with
the best story I can share with anybody. So when I was younger, I offended somebody who was the Secretary of State. Okay. He then haunted me and had people investigate me nonstop. Once I got out of jail, nonstop. I got tortured. At one point, they smoked me in the press and all these awful things about me. And they did it to other advisors, right? But
What does
this
this
was
look
me.
like?
And I knew I didn't do what?
Go into detail. What does this look like?
I'm trying not to go into too much detail because I could get in trouble. I went crazy on this.
I got you.
I'll leave my reaction out of it. So this gentleman, the article started saying I'm preying on seniors, I'm manipulating this, I'm doing this. It said I was making $4 million a year. I don't make $4 million a year. I don't even make $2 million a year. But anyways, that aside, I hear this. I start driving to a certain place where I thought a certain gentleman would be. A friend of mine is a state rep, and he's a client. He said, Ryan, come see me. Don't cause problems. We meet, we talk. He says, I'll talk to the secretary. I know you didn't do anything wrong. I'm your client. They won't retract things. Now they want me to give up my license for life, my securities license. I don't do that. I do the insurance side. I have a gentleman I refer the security stuff to. They want me to give that up for life, pay $850,000. So I laughed at them. One, I wasn't under their jurisdiction. And two, I didn't do anything wrong. They were trying to say that by taking money out of the stock or a mutual fund, putting it into annuity, it was securities advice because it goes in there and you get paid. But the definition of securities advice, you have to get paid on this purchase or sale of the security. It doesn't matter where the money goes. Otherwise, a realtor, if somebody sold stock with a realtor, would have to be a licensed stockbroker, or a bank, or anybody who got money out of the mutual fund.
Technicality.
So all these other advisors, they gave in and they settled and this and that. And I was like, no, I'm not settling. I got money. I'll go to court. And for the last, 2019, December 19th was when it hit. We've been in court nonstop. I spent at least $800 in the last 4 years, 500 years on lawyer fees. But I'm like, I'm not giving it to these motherfuckers. And this past Monday, we inked a deal. We had to sign a deal with them. We had to own our part that they felt like, I don't know what I had to own, to be very honest with you. I didn't violate any rules, but I had to give some money up. And but it was a lot less. And the suspension, even though I don't do that for a living, that side, it was reduced. But that, you know what that taught me? It taught me you get through anything. Because nothing hurts. My business is like my baby. I built it. When I got out of jail, my mom would drive me to clients' houses in her Nissan Versa. I remember getting an appointment. Nobody would do business because my mom was waiting outside. I opened the glove box to put my papers in there. I had no money. The glove box fell on the floor. I started crying and sobbing. And I called my sponsor, and he would have all the answers. This guy knows nothing about finance. He would guide me to build this business, just spiritually. It was all spiritual principles. And now I'm at a point where I went through that, and I came out the other side, and I came out stronger than ever. And I didn't think I could even get through it. I remember thinking of suicide. I was looking for life insurance without a suicide clause. They all had a 2-year suicide clause. I wanted out when it happened, and I am so grateful I got through, because when I got through that, this past Monday, I realized something. I can get through anything.
So was fighting back really just like, this is the principal thing? Like, did it cost you more than you would have just coughed up in the beginning? Okay, I got you.
hands down. But it's not about that. It's about standing up to people that are bullies, and they've been bullied for years, and they've crossed the line. They actually violated a rule. I knew the rules were in my favor, and the law was in my favor. So I said, if we go to Superior Court, but if they lost to me in Superior Court, all the other advisors they done this to, it was 72 advisors that year. Hundreds of advisors would be able to come back and get everything flipped over and get money from them. It was hard, but yeah, it was. Looking back, it was worth it. It's always easier looking back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you still would have done it the same. You're saying?
Absolutely. You never listen. It was hard for me to sign a deal because I knew I didn't do anything. Yeah. But I was like, "This is as good as it gets, right? Here it is. We're at the end of the road. You take this." And I didn't want him, man. I was like, "No, let's keep it." And he's like, "No, Ryan, we're here." He goes, "I'm not taking more money from you." He's like, "This is as good as I can get you."
I'll throw another 200.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was 20 G's a month. Like, it was like nothing. I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys get more than I do. But man, I'll tell you, it's getting to the other side of it made me realize, like, man, I don't have to use drugs. I don't have to drink.
To answer the question though, what is the lesson and the valuable lesson about human nature there?
Here's the lesson, in my opinion. People may go after you if you offend them. It's easy to offend people. People are very sensitive. People may use power over you. The valuable lesson is this: if you dial in, if you have value, if you have that spiritual principle, you take the time to meditate and pray. I didn't do it all the way through. I suffered for a long time before, again, turning it over. You have to have something to turn it over to. I don't care if you call it God, Spirit of the universe. I don't give a damn if you think of the electricity in a socket, stick your finger in it. You have to have something more powerful than you that you can say, hey, you know what? I give it up. I can't fight this anymore. And it seems like when I do that, life gets a lot easier.
What's your approach to setting and achieving long-term goals?
I believe that you sit down and you take a look at your life and where you want it to be. Like, where do I want to be in 20 years? I can tell you, I want to be sitting there. I want a vacation house. I want my daughter coming up to see me. I want to be driving her back to school. I want her to be doing college and be okay. I want to have rental property, so when I die, there's money going to a trust for her. That's my long-term stuff. My short-term stuff over the next couple of years is spend time with her, develop the relationship more, really bond. Like, I'm going to take Wednesdays off from work and take her all day. Like, really, really dive into it because it goes so fast, one. And two, that's the good stuff. When she smiles, I got news for you. I don't care what a client's account's doing. I don't care about anything. When she wakes up in the morning, she says, Daddy, it's morning. And that's like hitting the lottery, man. So my short-term goals are mostly centered around here. That's where I find my happiness right now. I date and there's somebody, I'm seeing somebody nice right now, but my goal, my priority is to be a father and then be a good dad, actually. And then after that, it's business.
What's the most controversial advice you've ever given and why?
I often tell people life's cutthroat, grab a knife. Life's not easy. It's a knife fight. You better be able, if you've never been in a knife fight, you better fucking learn because it's not going to be easy. If you want success, you better be a savage. But here's the thing, in this day and age, everybody's soft. Everybody, nobody's doing what you got to do. Nobody's out there starting nonprofits and doing this and that.
Yeah.
If you got some guts to you and you really want to push, you could be a rock star. It's not hard to be successful.
What are your thoughts on how Jordan Peterson is always saying life is about struggle? Do you agree with that concept?
I went and saw Jordan Peterson 2 weeks ago. He was in Boston.
Nice. Wow. Ironic.
I was third row back and
how was that? Tell me about it.
Jesus Christ, it was gibberish. I don't know what he was talking about.
Really?
I'm gonna be honest. When you see clips of him on Joe Rogan and stuff, seeing the clips of big things, seeing him talking, I was like, I don't know, what,
kind of over your head.
Yeah, it was like watching Kamala Harris. When she goes around the circles, it was just like, what the fuck? Get to a point, man. And here's my thoughts though: struggle makes you stronger. I don't think life should always be a struggle. I think it should be some joy. If there's no joy, then it's not worth it. I'm gonna be honest. But there should be struggle every day. This is going to sound sexist, but all right, here's my beliefs. I believe that, in most situations, guys' jobs provide for a spouse. If they have a kid, they're home with the child. You know what I mean? If there's a child involved. And I also believe a woman's job is to be, or a spouse's job is to be supportive. Not to bitch, not to nag, but to be grateful that somebody's bringing in the dough. And I believe you go hunting. You get up every day, whether you like it or not. If I don't want to get up, I get up. If I'm happy, it doesn't matter. I go to work. If I'm sad, I go to work. You should have the same discipline. I take a freezing cold shower, and I like the way the fucking cold water feels because it's discipline. Because I go in there and I do affirmations. And I make sure I make myself do things. And I make my life so strict and so painful that there's nothing the world can do to me that's even worse.
What's the biggest risk you've ever taken, and what did you learn from it?
Oh God, I'm trying to think of the legal one. Nothing violent. All right. I had get back in business, right? I get sober. I have 14 grand in my name, right? There's two. I'll give you one. This one, I invested in 2 workshops, 2 seminars. My first seminar cost me $6,800. I made $6,300. I lost money. My second one cost me $7,200. I made $45,000. So I put all of my money into those things, and boom. After that, I've always made $1 million more on my workshops alone. The biggest risk I ever took care of is I get out of jail, and this company, Allianz, decides they want to invest in me. They want to see me get off the ground. They sent me money. I'm on food stamps and Mass Health. I'm poor. No license, no lights or electricity, nothing. They sent me $3,400, $3,200 to do a workshop to pay for the mailer. I order a bulldog and get a bulldog shipped to me. So I get a dog. Now, I have no way of feeding this dog. I have no money. My mother's like, "You're too homeless. You're homeless with a dog now. That's the only difference." That dog kept me sober because he needed me.
Damn.
That dog saved my life.
Don't expect that answer, dude.
No, nobody does. Nobody does. But I'll tell you, I invested in everybody.
That's the living for something bigger than yourself, right? No different than your daughter, I would assume.
It starts that way. It doesn't have to be anything superstar. People don't get that. Get a fucking goldfish. Invest. Put you something else, something bigger than you, and then build it up from there. I love it. Like when I go to the gym, I always like. If some people want to work, I hate working out with people. I keep my headphones on.
Me too.
I do. But young kids, like sometimes I'll have a kid be like, "Hey, can I work out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no worries." But I don't talk. I wear my headphones. Just follow me. Do what I do after. We'll superset back and forth. And I think it's got to be bigger than you. Like, I love when kids come up to me like, "Hey, I saw your podcast. I want to, can I ask you a question?" And for me, that's like, "Hey, I can help somebody." I don't know. I feel like when I've got too much time alone and too much time to myself to do things I want to do or whatever it is, it gets lonely when it's selfish.
I feel like your answer to this one's going to be the gym, but how do you handle the pressure constantly needing to innovate or improve?
Some of it's the gym. It's my overall process because if it's just in the gym, it's not enough. Meditation's big with me. I'm gonna keep going back to that prayer meditation. I don't care what you pray to, just hit your knees and pray to something else. Just believe out. The only way you ever read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah, of course. Classic.
So remember the last night when you had to come up with the name, you just gave it to the God and blah, blah. I'll give you an example. If I'm having a real hard time about innovating something, you know what I'll do? I'll walk 15 feet, 20 feet into my prayer room. I'll grab a chair. I'll put it next to my bed. I'll say, "God, here's what I can do." And I'll talk to him. I'll go to sleep. And I'll wake up with the answer. And I know that might sound fucked up. It's probably hard to believe. But if you don't believe me, I tell people, try it. Then test me on this. I'm not wrong. There's certain things I can tell you that work. It's like, it's like this. It's like gravity. It's going to work the same for you as it works for me. It's a spiritual principle. And I really believe when you tap into that greater, whatever it is, you don't have to really believe, just do it. I read 2 little an index card I hold on all day. And every time I get in and out of the car, I read it, whatever. It has 2 quotes. I'm not a Bible guy. It says, "If ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, nothing shall be impossible unto you." Mustard seed, it's that big. If you have that much faith, you can be a rock star. The next thing says, "Whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer, believing ye shall receive." So then I name things I want after it. Boom, boom, boom. And everything I've listed, I've gotten. I mean, and I'm not that unique. It's not like I'm so smart or I'm so crafty or anything. I'm just some guy. I just happen to have the process,
For sure. I think it has to do with tapping into the sober aspect too, dude, because if we're all constantly numbing ourselves, it's kind of hard to get into the spiritual aspect or even feel anything in general,
Yeah, I agree. You nailed it. And I'm not adverse to people who could go out and have a few drinks on the weekend, a party a little.
Me either.
But to have your success, you've got to be present. You got to sense it. If you put something in your body might be like this, jittery, or you'd be thinking all things that are exciting, but they're not real. You've got to be able to sit down and be present and really let it come to you, because that's where the good stuff comes. I mean, every book you read, every great author, Joe Rogan talks about it. I sat near Mark Wahlberg at the game the other night. He's a Catholic guy. He talks about praying. And these guys, they're not that unique. Just guys that like come.
I think you'll like Heraclitus, the philosopher. He kind of embodies a lot of what you're talking about in terms of like living in the moment. But if you get some time to check him out, I think you'll really resonate. Yeah, that's cool. I think you'll really like it. Can you share a success story that exemplifies your mission?
So a client that's state rep called me a few years ago and he said, "Ryan, we got a situation. I'm trying to raise money. Make a wish. There's some kids they're going to send out to Disney, but they don't have money to send the parents, so they just send the kids to the chaperone." And he said, "I want to send one parent so this girl doesn't go, she's dying. You know what? So he says, I'm trying to get $100 from a couple of people. I'm short like $900. I need $1,500. I said, no, don't talk to me about that. I'll meet you at the hospital. Let's go now. So we walk in and I meet this little girl and, I'm crying, because I'm just weak. And the parents are there, they're smiling, the little girl smiling, I'm crying. And I said, you guys are parents? And they said, yeah. I said, I'm going to pay for you two to go. And they said, well, no, we're just one of us. No, I said, no, you're going to go. This other little girl goes, that's so nice. Oh my God. I go, who are you? She goes, I'm her sister. I go, you're going too. And I got the experience of like, they were so much bigger than me. They were happy. And this little girl was dying. She had so much charisma, pride, and just this glow. And I thought, this girl's going right to heaven. And to be able to be part of this family going down there, like they called me up when they got back, said me, let it thank you. And I was like, are you kidding me? You're thanking me. I went over there with like food. I was like, don't ever thank me. You did me the favor. And that's the honest God truth. They did me the favor. That's when I realized life is so much bigger than me. It doesn't matter what I'm driving, what I'm wearing, what's on my wrist. There's a purpose that like there's something out there. And like each of us, I really believe each of us needs all of us, And I'm not some crazy left-wing liberal, but I do believe that we need to take care of each other to a certain degree.
For sure. I often say that people are imagining themselves in the car as you're driving by it, right? Like, it's not like they're like, this dude is so cool. Those thoughts never pass.
Yeah, nobody ever. You know what the funny part is? You want to know how much when I pull in my car, how cool it is? About 10-year-old kids come up to me and ask me about the car. It's not 25-year-old smoking chicks. It's about 10-year-old boys. So like, what the hell? This is not what I thought.
It's not some chick leaning against it asking
where you're going. I always envisioned that. I'm going to tell you right now. I envisioned coming out of the cigar shop like this and some smoking hot chick. But no, it's like a guy's like leaning up against taking pictures and putting it on Instagram,
Yeah.
I've had one guy say to me, can I sit in the driver's seat and take a picture? I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. What the fuck? It's just not what I thought life was going to be, but sure.
That's a lot nicer than most people. Lastly.
Oh my God, other people do it all the time. It's insane.
Actually, there's a few more questions here. We're almost done. How do you balance realism and optimism when planning for a client's financial future?
I want to know their future, and I want to, and I get real optimistic if I can help them. But if I can't help them, I'm honest. I'm like, yeah, no, we gotta make changes. It's realism's it's reality. I have no problem. When I had cancer in my 20s, the doctor didn't come and say, hey, no. She said, yeah, no, we found some tumors. Same thing. I'm going to deliver the news. If it's real, if it's good, yeah, I'm top. But if it's not good, I'm going to say, hey, here's where we see it. If you make these changes, or if you want to be more aggressive, I'll refer you to someone else, but I'm not going to do it.
What's the most unexpected lesson you've learned from your clients?
It's a couple, man. One is back when I was younger, every time I ever had a complaint in my 20s, because I had some personal issues. I didn't do anything wrong to the clients. I never broke a rule. I just wasn't present, because I was an addict, but I referred them out. But every complaint or any bitch I ever had was a client that was close to me. It was never some stranger. You let people in, they know you're struggling, and those are people that they're afraid, like, oh, what if he does something wrong with my money? And I never did anything wrong, but that's how it went. Another thing I learned is some of them are really family, and they become family. And this is what I do all day. It's where I spend my time. And if I'm just going to run this like a business and make money, then it's going to be kind of an empty hole.
Yeah, I didn't really think about how much trust a lot of people have to put into one person, right?
I get every penny they have, and I could take off any day I want. So I got $520 million at my disposal.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you approach the challenge of helping clients who are resistant to change?
Easy. Hey, you're resistant to change, go do your thing. You'll come back. and I'm not going to take you back, but you'll understand. I mean, it's not that it's my way or the highway. It's just that, like, I hire good analysts. They come back with reports. They tell me, these guys, Harvard, Princeton, if they tell me these answers, I mean, it's like going to the doctor. The doctor says, here's your blood work. And you say, no, it's not. Well, good luck with that.
This one's a little off topic, but you just sparked the idea. I used to study Chamath quite a bit. Do you know who he is?
No.
Chamath. He made a lot of money in like investing in other bigger companies, but he was basically saying that until all these companies learn to reevaluate their prices, we're kicking the can down the road. And I'm curious if you agree with that sentiment, that nobody wants to accept that.
So here it is. You ready for this? It's going to kick you right in the nuts. Here it goes. So I go and I have to get CE credits, and I'm short. So I have to go spend a whole day hearing some nonsense. This guy walks on. He says, like, He was a USA comptroller. Okay, a comptroller is a CPA for the USA. So each president has a cabinet of CPAs that give advice, and the comptroller is the one they send in and they finally make a decision to the president. So he's a one-on-one guy. He worked for Bush and Clinton. He said, "I want you to know I'm not bipartisan. I'm bipartisan. I don't like him either." I was like, "Boom! I love this guy." He starts talking. He goes, yeah, we're for Bush, Clinton. And I go in with an idea when we had an idea, and he said, "All right, yeah," and they implement. The book stayed even. He goes, with Bush, he'd always say, "Let me run about my people." The next day he would do, boom, no problem. Obama kind of pushed him. And he said, I got up in his face. I said, "There's a 4-letter word for you." And I thought he was going to drop an F-bomb or shit. He goes, "Listen, math doesn't work." And here it goes. Back when Social Security was started, 42 people went to work, 1 retiree. Now it's 3 to 1. It'll be 2 to 1 in 10 years. You could get Social Security at 65 back then. People died at 62. Now you get at 62 and people died at 90. It doesn't work. In addition to that, we loan money for Social Security and Medicaid. So much of our tax money is going out between like Social Security and Medicaid, our interest of the debt, the U.S. military. We can't do it. So this guy retires and he says, he starts touring the world. This is what he does. Tours the whole United States, excuse me. And he starts saying, "Hey, listen, we got to ring the alarm." He says, "We have a problem. We have to raise taxes double. And if we don't, for every 2 years we don't double taxes, our deficits grow by $2 trillion. It grew. It took us 200 years to get $5 trillion in debt. And then it took us like 12 or 15 years to throw another 30 on there. This is a serious problem." And he was right. And that guy's absolutely right. These are all inflated things. Everything you see, real estate, this and that, all it's nothing more than smoke and mirrors. This is a scary time. If you're a U.S. citizen and you're not scared to death, wake the bleep up,
Yeah. I mean, for sure, when you're going out to all these places and so many things are operating while they're empty, it doesn't make any sense.
It's insane. It's insane. They're putting up these apartments. So in Massachusetts, right? They're building these buildings, 40 floors high, apartments, 3,500, $4,000 a whack. I'm like, what kids are paying this kind of money?
Yeah, let alone has it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. It's buku money. And I'm thinking to myself, these kids walk by, they all have new cars, and they're at least new this, new that. Listen, it's nice to have nice crap, but they're all extended to the point they can ready to tip over.
Yeah. And you're just going to, I'm just thinking you're consolidating all these people into one area. But never in the history of the world has all this money been consolidated in one country either at the same time. So it is worth noting that all the money has been concentrated in America in the last 200 years.
Yeah, that's kind of cool too.
Couple more questions. What's the most difficult part of working in a field that deals with personal and often emotional issues like addiction?
So when I work in my coaching, the most difficult part is if you'll lose somebody. If somebody's got an addiction issue and they die, or you know what, it's more difficult than when they die because that's hard. Watch them in between.
Damn.
When they're not dead, they're not alive, and I spent years like that, and they're in that spot where they're like this, they're coming out, they're trying, they're falling back in. That was a story of my life, and that's a horrible thing. You as much as you don't want them to die, it's better than that. I remember when I was in that spot, being like, I just got to die. When I remember going to jail, getting in the paddy wagon, being scared. Most people be scared. By the time you go, it's over. It's over. They'll figure it out.
How do you help someone like you in that kind of vulnerable state? What would you have done if you're trying to help yourself?
The guy who helped me is guy Billy. He's my hero. He's a fucking superhero. 60 years old, built like a jacked up guy. I'll tell you who he is. He's my daughter Dylan's godfather. That tells you everything. So Billy was kind to me. He was a guy who walked in. He was big, muscly guy, good job. He was once a homeless guy. He's a street fighter. You could see he could fight. I mean, he's just but he walks in, his shoulders back, looks, and then he gently says to somebody, "Hey, how you doing?" And that's what it is. Looking at somebody in the eye who feels like a junkie, who can't look you in the eye because they feel so bad, and says, hey, how you doing, man? You want to grab coffee? And it starts there. It starts by just looking somebody in the eye. And then you coach like, hey, you know what? Like, let's give you a pair of jeans that fit. Okay, yeah. Hey, what are you for work? Well, I have no work. I want to mess up. Hey, why don't you get well job at a coffee shop? And you guide them as just one step at a time with kindness. And yeah, does it take a long time? Yeah, every goddamn day sometimes. I got one guy I spend at least an hour a day with. You know what? He's getting better. So you know something? I'd spend 2 hours. At times, does my daughter have to get on the back burner? Absolutely. But this is God's work. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than us. And if I do that work when I'm with her, I'm a better person.
Have you ever had to coach women?
I try not to. Here's why. I'm not a woman. And I can't really speak for women. I often think that, like, in this generation, women are this voice, they don't want this, this, and this, which is okay, but then they don't want the responsibility. The truth is, most women, like, would like to be a mom and be home, and it's okay if they don't. But I think that we push these roles and try to make everybody one so goddamn hard. Let people be who they are. I mean, I'm watching a woman swimmer who's a guy being a girl who's a smoking hot girl. Now that girl got robbed. Really.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's a different
yeah,
world.
yeah. I was like, what are you talking about? You just reminded me.
Yeah.
What future trends do you see impacting the financial industry? Obviously, we're talking about AI, things like that.
I think you want their also got to be a shitstorm. Most
Yeah, you
companies
think?
I deal with have businesses, offices in Bermuda. Also, I want to know the money can go there. I think this country's in for a real awakening if we sustain it. I mean, listen, it's the longest it's ever gone. A country like this, it probably, I don't know if it'll last that long because people are so far apart. It's
And
so polarized. I mean, look at this election. You've got a guy who's senile, who could be sucking his own. You've got a guy who's he's a kind of a cartoon, and that's what you get running. I mean, it's a weird world.
And you can see it being exacerbated even worse, right? This wealth gap potentially with AI, if we're all just passively accepting it and don't get involved, just let them, give them the authority to just make decisions for us and run us.
Yeah. And that's what's going to happen. People don't realize, like, the middle class and people think it's going to help their job. Those going to take your job. We're going to a point where there's going to be wealthy and peasants. And
Yep.
you know something, man? I grew up with my mom was a housekeeper. I don't like that. I don't want peasants. I don't want to take advantage of somebody. I want somebody who I can treat with respect, and I don't want to get to there. But that's the way the world's going, the way this country looks.
I feel that. And people are only building more resentment by the day.
Of course.
Yeah. How did the experience of creating a business in seventh grade shape your understanding of investment and finance?
Well, I learned to read. At that point, you used to read like Investors Business Daily and make stock choices based on that. It was a different world. Now you just have computers doing it. But it allowed me to really take time. I think the most important thing when you own a business is giving it time. It's a relationship. And not just a relationship with your clients, but a relationship with your business. My business is my first baby. And by no means is it going on the back burner. I try to put it on the back burner for my daughter, but I'm going to be honest with you. I don't always. My business, I can't tell you it's not my first priority. I try to make it not my first priority. Man, I raised this thing. My mom and I built this when I got sober. We built this from the ground up. It's special. Like, these clients are special. We got an offer to sell it a couple of years ago, $14 million. And my mom's an Irish Catholic lady who does the rosaries. They're like, she's nuts.
My mom too.
She came in. She looked at the guy and she goes, "Get the fuck out of here. I want to sell our clients like cattle."
Damn.
That was it. That was
Damn.
it. And she said, "I don't ask you for much. Promise me you'll never sell these people." I said, "I'll never do it." And that's just, like, this is important to me. So, but I make time for it. I come in. I really, like you go in there every day. When you love something, you put time into it. It'll work.
For sure. Like, I love researching and putting the data in front of people's faces. And I know that so many people can, like, right now I just released a paper on student food insecurity. And I'm like, dude, if these lawmakers even knew how bad this data is, they can't deny that people need food. It's the most basic necessities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's my example of service to others, right? Like, I know that me doing this research, everybody else is going to benefit from it.
Of course, that's huge, because how many kids go without food?
40% right now, dude. College.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty startling, and I'm sure it's worse than that because the people that don't have the time to fill those out aren't doing so.
People too embarrassed to fill them out.
Yes, exactly. And there's a huge stigma with that, by the way. Another topic. But lastly, what would you want your legacy to be in terms of the impact that you've made?
All right, so, God, that's a good question. So, I think it would be a few fold. One, I'd like Apex to continue to help people retire and never be sold. The young man, Chris, I'd like him to take it over and continue to build it with the values that I instilled in him. And I believe that'll happen. Also, I want to make sure the business tithes long after I'm gone. In fact, I'll put that in trust. I want to make sure that I have rental property that'll make sure my daughter's okay. She has autism. I worry about her all the time. I want to make sure that, it's not what I leave to her, it's what I leave in her. I want her to feel loved. I want her to have a good relationship with God. I ask her every day, what did God make you? She was perfect. She is. She's perfect. And I also want to make sure some of that trust goes to Autism Foundation to help other kids go to school like where she went. They can't afford it. I mean, see, listen, my child is autism. It's very hard to go through. It's heartbreaking. She has also learning disability. She's delayed. Man, at least we get the money and the resources to make sure she's lined up. What happens to people that don't?
Hey,
people don't?
if you ever want me to do a paper on that, I'll gladly research what kind of resources could help or what's underfunded and things like that. Because I mean,
I'm
my
always
mom was a speech therapist for like 40 years in education, so it had a big impact. Like I understand how important that is, you know.
her speech therapist. Well, her OT and her speech therapist are the two most important therapists she has. They changed. My daughter was nonverbal. My daughter doesn't stop yapping now, and
Damn.
that's a gift. And so I will say to you this: I want to make sure that there are families that don't go without. They don't have kids that they can't communicate with. Like before you, she was autistic. I had this kid in the house. You couldn't hug her. You couldn't kiss her. She didn't want to look at you, and she couldn't. You couldn't touch her and hug her. I mean, she would sit in the corner. I mean, that's horrible.
Can't
And now
communicate.
she's just part of the mix.
Wow.
So that's really special. And I also want to, I want to have a recovery house. I want to open a sober house, and I want that to continue after me.
That's a cool one. I didn't expect that. That's a cool one.
Yeah, I do. I want it, and I don't care about the profit because it means nothing to me. But I want that's a big thing to me. I want to make sure that there's a place where guys can go. It's already paid for. There's a trust paying for it that they can just go get help. They can walk in that grimy. They can learn how to shave again. I mean, I couldn't write a check when I got out of jail. My mind was going. I'm a financial advisor.
If there was a way to make that be able to, be self-sustaining, I know profit's not it. But dude, if you turn that into a chain, that'd be crazy.
I wouldn't know how to chain it because I wouldn't want to go into that because it takes a lot. But I'll tell you right now, if you know how to do something like that, that's interesting because I know how to make it work. Because all you do is have to own the land. I could own the land, like the house.
Mm-hmm.
Then you make sure there's a trust, a rental property somewhere that's paying the bills to keep it going. And then these people get enough money from the state that'll help them stay there while they get treatment.
Dang. And then you're probably eligible for some grants at that point. That's community.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. And I'm sure it goes into much more. But I think it's so important to make sure that there's some sort of legacy. God gave me a gift. And if all I do is use it on me, then I'm a selfish prick. This is bigger than me.
Very last question is, what does it mean to you to be more than rich? The theme of the show.
I think it's what rich means to me. What rich means to me is, like, number one, being a dad. Good dad, like a loving dad, affectionate. Two, being a business owner who genuinely cares about his clients. Okay, the money comes, but genuinely gives a shit. Prays for his clients before they walk in the door, genuinely cares. Three, being a coach, helping other people to achieve what I've achieved. Paying it forward, because if you don't pay it forward, it stops you. I always tell people it's like plugging an outlet, into the wall. If you don't plug something to the extension cord on the other end, the power doesn't flow. And three, just leave loving people, like being kind, like, walking in somewhere. I always make sure I have $700 a week I use for tips. Every week I have one day, each day I go in, I tip somebody at a coffee shop $100 or somewhere I buy a peanut butter cup or something. So I try to do that $700 a week. Because it makes somebody, or homeless people. Like, I went through a fortune when I was going to the game the other night because there were a lot of homeless people. I was that person once. God's blessed me. I want to be a blessing. Yeah, do they go out and buy drugs or alcohol? I don't care. If I can leave some sort of impact to make somebody's day better, it doesn't matter what they do with it. I did my part.
Wow. Super unique story. So I definitely appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you, man.
Cracking the code. What do you want to, anything you want to promote on here? How to contact you, get in touch?
Cracking the Code with Ryan Skinner. What we do is basically we coach folks to want to grow their business. Guys go through tough times, whether it's addiction or just breakups or some heartache, or they're not in the shape they want. They have no routine, no structure. We help them to implement those programs, those processes. And that's where you get success.
Any contact information? How to get you? Website?
Crackingthecode.com. Cracking the Code with RyanSkinner.com. In addition, they just put the site up now. Instagram, same thing. Always available.
Got you. Appreciate super vulnerable stories today, especially on the financial aspect of it. I think it's very invaluable. I know we don't really get a lot of people that are talking numbers and money, but even though that's the opposite theme of the show, very, very useful in all aspects of life.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Be in touch soon. I'll let you know when this is out. Thanks.
All right, brother.